we do like just a couple, one more minute? Thank you. Thank you, Dorian. Thank you, Charlie. Amazing. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to grab a seat, get comfy. We're going to open today's service with some adapted words by Reverend Melanie Morell Ensminger. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. Whatever your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. However you came here, if you came alone or with others, you are welcome here. However you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans. For almost 200 years, this congregation has been a beacon of liberal faith, spiritual self-fulfillment, and commitment to making our community and our world a better place for all. Hi, I'm Tucker. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him. If you're a visitor, we invite you to raise your hand so that we can greet you. Hey! Oh my God, yes, welcome, hello. We're so glad you're here. Also, we want to ensure that everyone in attendance can hear the service in its entirety. So if you're unable to hear any of the speakers, please give us one of these and we'll do our best to speak up. Thanks. We are a lay-led congregation. On Sunday mornings, we ask you ministers, other religious professionals, leaders from social justice organizations, and our very own members to be voices of hope, courage, and spiritual or intellectual transformation from our pulpit. Our worship leaders today are Dietz, give us a wave, yes, thank you, Gabe Christian Sola, and S.K. Grohl. We get 3 for 1, y'all. This is a good day. It's gonna be a good service. You can learn more about them in the insert that's inside your order of worship. In general, I'll just say that these are 3 incredible organizers in local and national fights for liberation. I've had the pleasure of learning from and with these dear friends for a few years now, and I'm really excited and honored that they chose to come and share their wisdom with all of us today. So, please rise in body or spirit and join us in lighting the chalice of our heritage. Our chalice lighting today comes from the magnificent author Audre Lorde, an invaluable voice in Black lesbian feminist thought. Please read with us the words you'll find in your order of service, and then you'll join in our sung response following. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes please remain as you are for our opening hymn. It's in the gray hymnal, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? It's not too loud. A little too loud. A little loud. So before I invite, you can come forward first. My name is Katie Gelfand. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration here at this church. And before we begin, I want to let you know that this will be my last time for all ages here before I resign at the end of the month. Next Sunday is my last Sunday, but I was told that someone else would be doing this portion of the service. So, but I just wanted to say that this has been one of my greatest joys of this job, is filling this time for y'all, getting to choose books and stories and songs and activities, and thank you so much for trusting me to do things that are a little weird and quirky sometimes, and I think that it helps all of us grow, and I hope that one day I'll be able to come back and do another story for you. So thank you, and I picked a really, really good one. So there's some more carpet circles. I'd like to invite those young and young at heart. Can we get Justin? The sound is sad too that I'm leaving. They wanted to cry. So I'd like to invite those young and young at heart to join me on the carpet circles for this wonderful story. It's so good. Oh my goodness. Don't be shy. You want to come see the pictures are so good. I know I always say this for the books, but I really, really love children's book art, and the pictures in this are just so beautiful. So I'll leave the book up here after the service if you can't see, because you're sitting in the back and you want to see after. All right, everybody ready? Oh, also, I really have wanted, recently I've been sharing which of our Unitarian Universalist values are celebrated in the stories that I'm reading. And so today, we're celebrating transformation, equity, pluralism, love, and interdependence. So see if you can notice any or all of those in the book. And this is called From the Stars in the Sky to the Fish in the Sea, written by Kai-Ching Tam and illustrated by Wyatt Lee and Kai Yong Ching. From the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. Once upon a time, in a little blue house on a hill on the edge of town, a baby was born. They were born with both the moon and the sun in the sky. Baby couldn't decide what to be. Boy or girl, bird or fish, cat or rabbit, tree or star. So the baby looked a little like everything. They looked very strange. Here's the baby in the mom's lap. All the same, the baby's mother gave her child a bath and rocked them in her arms. Your name, she said, is Mulan. And she sang a song that her own mother had sung to her long ago. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high. And I'll always be here. I'll be near, standing by. And you know that I'll love you till the day that I die. And even though they still couldn't decide, the baby felt loved. Mulan grew up to be a strange and magical child who was always changing. They grew feathers and wings to fly with bluebirds in the mornings, scales and a tail to swim with fish in the afternoons, and fur and paws to play with puppies in the evenings. I confess I'm a little jealous. No matter how many things Mulan became, their mother always brought them back into the little blue house and gave them a bath and tucked them into bed at the day's end. And as the stars rose, she sang to them, whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. And Mulan felt loved. One day, it was time for the child to go to school, and they were so excited. They grew up peacock tail feathers and a coat of tiger stripes. Have fun, said Mulan's mother. Can you see Mulan running? But when they got to school, the other students were either boys or girls, and they had no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, not even any sparkles. And no one invited Mulan to play. One little boy ran up to the child and asked, what are you supposed to be? Mulan didn't know how to answer. This little redhead kid is pulling on their peacock feathers. When they got home, their mother asked them how they'd like school. It's okay, said Mulan. Did you make any friends? Not really, said Mulan. That night, Mulan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, you can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high, and I'll always be here. I'll be near, standing by, and you know that I'll love you till the day that I die. And Mulan felt loved, but also worried. The next day, they wore a turtle shell and porcupine spines, and no one pulled or poked Mulan, but the other children still pointed and whispered. Did you make any friends today? Their mother asked. Not really, said Mulan. That night, Mulan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. And Mulan felt loved, but also sad. The next day, Mulan wore no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, no spines, not even any sparkles. Major crisis mode here, people. No sparkles. Mulan was invited to play baseball with the boys. No one pointed, whispered, laughed, or stared. But when Mulan joined the girls to play hopscotch, "Boys don't play hopscotch," said a little girl. "Are you a boy or a girl anyway?" asked a little boy. "Didn't you have a shell the other day?" asked a little girl. "And feathers the day before?" "What are you supposed to be?" asked all the children at once. "I don't know," shouted Mulan. And they galloped out of the playground on horses' hooves and swam through a stream on a fish's tail and soared high up the hill on eagle's wings. "How was school?" asked Mulan's mother. "I wore feathers and stripes so that the other kids would think I was beautiful, but they thought I was weird. And then I wore a shell and spines so that no one would pull me or poke me, but they wouldn't talk to me. And then I tried to be just like everybody else, but I haven't made any friends and I can't decide what to be. And why do I have to be just one thing?" It isn't always easy to be different from everyone else," said their mother. "But you can only be who you are." "What if the other children don't like who I am?" sniffled Mulan. Their mother smiled sadly. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I do know this. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Mulan felt loved, and that night they slept a deep sleep. The next day, Mulan wore fur, feathers, scales, leaves, sparkles, many, many sparkles that glittered like stars. And for a moment, none of the other children spoke. Uh-oh. And then a little girl said, "You can fly? That's so cool." "I like your sparkles," a little boy said. "I'm sorry I pulled your feathers," said the boy with red hair. "I was jealous of them." Mulan asked, "Does anyone want to play with me?" They showed the other children how to gallop like horses, climb like monkeys, swim like fish. It was fun to be so many different things. And the child of fur, feathers, scales, leaves, sparkles, who was neither a boy nor a girl, but many things and always changing, was happy. In the little blue house on the hill on the edge of town, Mulan's mother smiled and sang the song her mother had sung to her once upon a time. "Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high, and I'll always be here, I'll be near, standing by. And you know that I'll love you till the day that I die. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, for you are my child, courageous and free." Yes, please come look at those pictures. And any young people are welcome to come and hang out in the kids' room, especially if you're new. You can follow Miss Lauren and Miss Rezan through this door, and there's like games and stuff like that. So I hope y'all have fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. That's a good book. She's talking. We're going to enter into our meditation, and I'm going to invite S.K. Grohl up to read that. Just so you know, after the meditation, we'll sit in silence for a moment or two, and then we'll come out of that by singing together, voice still and small. The words for that are in your order of service. Thanks.
Hi, all. My name is SK, as Tucker said. I'm going to read an excerpt from Transliberation by Leslie Feinberg, which is a series of essays. A lot of them were turned into essays from speeches that Leslie Feinberg gave in various public engagement events. And this one was in 1998 to a room full of people at the Texas Tea Party, which was a gathering of 350 cross-dressers and their spouses in Texas in 1998. So just as a context for the language and the writing. Yet radio and television interviewers still repeat the same questions to me again and again. But were you born male or female? Why do you think you are the way you are? Were you born this way? Was your mother overbearing? Did your father want a boy? These questions have no meaning for me. I don't think the point is, why are we different? Why have we refused to walk one of two narrow paths, but instead demanded the right to blaze our own? The question is not why were we unwilling to conform even when being beaten to the ground by ridicule and brutality. The real burning question is, how did we ever find the courage? From what underground spring did we draw our pride? How did each of us make our way in life without a single familiar star in the night sky to guide us to this room where we have at last found others like ourselves? And after so much of ourselves have been injured or left behind as expendable ballast, many of us worry, what do we have left to give each other? Upon what basis will we build something lasting between us? I think we have a whole world to give back to each other. We have the material to create the strong structures of each of our communities while still building the foundation for a coalition of our diversity to fight for common goals. If we want to win our own demands, we need allies. And as we fight for each other's rights, we strengthen our own.
Thanks, y'all. Dietz, would you like to come up? Dietz is going to share with us our responsive reading. The words for that are in your order of service on the back side of the bios, that little insert. And Dietz will read the regular text, and we will respond with the text in italics.
Good morning, everybody. This is another. Good morning. It's nice to take a moment to receive a morning back. Thank you. I'm going to be reading another text from Audre Lorde. We can't get enough of her this morning either. I was going to die sooner or later, whether or not I had even spoken myself. My silences had not protected me. Your silences will not protect you. I began to ask each time, what's the worst that could happen to me if I tell this truth? Unlike women in other countries, our breaking of silence is unlikely to have us jailed, disappeared, or run off into the road at night. Our speaking out will irritate some people, get us called bitchy or hypersensitive, or disrupt some dinner parties. Next time, ask. Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you. They will interrupt you, put you down, and suggest that it's personal. And the speaking will get easier and easier. And you will lose some friends and lovers, and then realize that you don't miss them. And you will still flirt and paint your nails and dress up and party because I think Emma Goldman said, if I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. We're going to jump into some storytelling. And first up is Dietz. So you're right where you need to be, my friend. Take it away.
Good morning again, everybody. My name is Dietz. I accept any pronouns used with respect, and I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, but I moved to New Orleans in 2011 by way of the Bay Area. And I want to say, I didn't know like the story that was going to be read. I didn't see the text until I got here this morning, and it just moves my spirit to know that so much of what I had written down is really in alignment here. So I'm really excited to be here with y'all this morning. Though I'm a little nervous because even though I do a lot of public speaking as a facilitator, speaking with people, in conversation with people, it's different to talk at people. So bear with me while I do this. But when Tucker asked me if I would speak, I said yes, partially because I know that the UU Church supports social justice and community building as central to the courageous act of being human. And also it's very hard for those of you who know Tucker to say no to Tucker. But then I realized that my dear ones, SK and Gabe, were also speaking, and I was like, forget about it, I'm in. These are powerhouse people, I want to be here with them. And you know, we're all friends, and it's more fun to do this stuff together anyway. So we had gotten together to talk about what do we want to even speak to y'all about. And one of the things that Tucker prompted us with was how do we think about community power? And all of us are community organizers, SK, Gabe and myself are. And so we have a million projects and programs, and we could tell you how we do the organizing, like the nuts and bolts of it. But once we started talking more about how it feels to do the work, how it feels to be a leader and an organizer, especially as queer and trans people, especially as we continue to see a really extraordinary onslaught of a degradation of our rights and just a whole lot of bad stuff that seems to be in the news right now. How do we do this? How do we keep pushing when a lot of the work that we've been able to do in our short careers is already starting to dissolve? I know that I'm standing in legacy with many people who have decades of social justice organizing who are having to ask themselves the same question. How do we push forward when we see the really good work that we've invested in for decades, for centuries, start to really be dissolved? And so as we were going around kind of asking each other, like, how do we do that? Like, how do we do that for ourselves? For me, the answer was kind of quick. I was like, well, thank God I'm punk. Because, I think for punks in the room, and I'm glad I got a couple chuckles out of that one, everyone who's under the umbrella of that subculture really understands that punk requires creativity, to go hand in hand with resistance in order for it to work. And I can understand how folks looking in from the outside who don't know punks or don't know a lot about punk could see how maybe it's just an aggressive anti-status quo fashion statement, and for some people that's all it is. Or maybe it's just cacophonous music or like a real commitment to contrarianism. And for some people it's that too. And for real, it's all of those things. And I can't speak to every punk or about what punk means for everyone, but I think what really unites most of us is a recognition and a shared outrage at the larger interlocking systems of oppression that are responsible for our collective suffering. And that it's not enough to be mad at those systems. You gotta do something with that anger. Punks at their best try to actively build worlds that we want to be a part of. Often, DIY, do-it-yourself community comes from punk. Punks are really focused on building systems of mutual care and support right now in our backyards, in our living rooms, in our garages, sometimes in abandoned buildings. But, it's really hard to do that, but it's also really rad. And I'm really grateful that the punk community that I was raised in was really deeply politically charged, and this is true for a lot of punk as well. For those less familiar, there are countless punk songs, bands, albums, even entire subgenres that are completely dedicated to inciting its listeners to not only educate themselves about the vicious consequences of capitalism or how white supremacy has infiltrated every aspect of our American lives, but for punks to ask themselves where we benefit from those systems, where we're maybe complicit in them ourselves. And y'all, that's not comfortable work. It's really not very comfortable to sit with those things and to interrogate yourself about that. And we make a lot of really loud and angry music about that tension. We do something with it. And if you've been to any of the protests recently in this city, or honestly ever, you've probably seen some punks in the streets being loud about that tension as well. And it's not just because we're out there because we want to smash it up or whatever people put upon us, even though for some people that's true again. You'll note that the vast majority of our recent protests have been peaceful, punks and all. But we're in the streets because it's a central tenet of punk to not look away from the violence that systemic racism, homophobia, classism, and ableism wreak upon our society. Much of punk calls for us to educate ourselves about the racist origins of empire and colonialism, and to strive towards solidarity with revolutionary movements from across the globe, Gaza and beyond. And then to get loud about it, and to educate others about it so they too cannot look away when it might be easier to look away. And as many of you know, last weekend there was a No Kings March that was heavily focused on anti-Trump content, which I get, he's terrible, he's a really bad guy. But I was marching myself with a contingency of that parade that was less specifically Trump-centric, and instead was offering chants against ICE that challenged police violence, that rallied against the carceral state, that demanded rights for trans people and queer folk. And this mini protest was kind of situated in the middle of like the big, long protest. And where I was situated was right at the front of where the band was, looking out into the sea of everyone else who was there, but maybe not there to protest those particular things. And let me tell you, they were not really excited about our chants. A lot of people were not ready to pick up the chants with us. And that's fine, that's their prerogative. Everyone protests in their own way. But eventually there came a pause and everyone was kind of bunched up and holding still, as sometimes happens in marches. And to be fair, it was really, really hot. We'd been marching for a long time, there was no shade. But, for those of us who are used to being in the streets, the band realized that that was the moment where you get louder. If people are hot and tired, you bring up the music so that everybody can get into it. But as we got louder, and I'm a little witchy, I could really sense the tension in between our section of the parade and the section right in front of us, as people started to be challenged a little bit. And maybe people were chanting things that they didn't understand all of the way, but they were sure being associated with us by standing in front of us right there. And I think one of the chants, because it was Pride weekend, that really got me kind of frustrated that people wouldn't pick up with, I'm gonna invite y'all to say it with me, if you know it. When trans lives are under attack, what do we do? When immigrant lives are under attack, what do we do? When Palestine is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. And that's a really easy one to learn. All you gotta do is say stand up, fight back. And on Pride weekend, we were out here because Pride was a riot, and they decided to put their date on that day. People didn't want to get loud with us, and I started to get really angry. I started to get really, really mad. And, one of the things that I get is that it's a lot easier to focus hate and disgust on one cartoon caricature of a man that, you can stand loudly in opposition to Trump, but it's a lot harder to stand in opposition to the complex systems that enabled a man like Trump to come into power. And it's a lot easier to be anti-police violence at your dinner table than when you're 10 feet away from very many cops who are armed to the teeth in the name of your protection. And, the risk is greater for punks. That's part of why we thrive in that liminal space where we get to call attention to it. And, so the vibe is weird. I'm in my feelings. But thankfully, I decided to turn my energy into a different arc of punk, which is that tension can sometimes be something joyful, and even more than that, fun. And it was Pride weekend, y'all, so I wasn't about to let a bunch of really tired and hot straight people, no offense, be like, ugh, I'm tired of being here. I'm like, no, this is our parade. We're gonna have fun. So I decided to get into it. I decided to source joy from someplace else and to be in the chants not just as a mononymous chant, but to really feel it and to dance with it a little bit and to make sure that whatever the energy was in that space, that the energy that I was bringing was one of revolution, was one of connecting to the people who are around me. So so as one punk in the pulpit right now, I feel like I gotta give a little call to action to all of y'all, to consider my motto that I truly try to live by, which is to stay posy and stay punk. Question your knowledge base when you get uncomfortable. Make the effort to educate yourself about the issues that trouble your privilege, and then go out and do something about it. Find other people who have been addressing this issue for longer than you have and volunteer with them. Ask them where they want your hands to be. Or if you got some resources, kick it to them. Build right now. Punk asks for us not to wait for permission from the government to start dismantling the systems of oppression in our own lives, that live in our own minds, that bleed into how we act towards each other and ourselves. Try to trash that garbage that we've been taught about what we should or shouldn't be scared of. And try to be kind to yourself in the process if you can. And I'm not asking anyone to go out and shave their head or pierce their nose, even though I'm sure you'd look great if you did. But the next time you're feeling anxious, or really angry, I encourage you to spend some time with your inner punk. Stay posy, stay mad, stay courageous, stay punk. Thank you.
Hi all, it's me again. Deets, you're wonderful, all the time. I love you. I'm gonna talk about some different things because when we were really thinking about one of the questions that Tucker asked us when we were thinking about community power and storytelling was, who are the people that have supported you in your personal journey? And for me, so much of that personal journey has happened in spaces of queer friendship and spaces of T for T love. And when I say T for T, I mean trans for trans. And I think that, for me, comes from an early place of growing up, like many of us, in places that were not kind to difference. So I grew up in a small town in western Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. I moved to Baton Rouge in 2014, and then New Orleans a few years ago, after being in Baton Rouge for a while. But when I was a kid in my small town, I didn't feel like I fit in. I think that that's true for many people, right? When they're a kid, when they're young, when the place that they're in has a high focus on normativity. And so I guess I'm going to talk to y'all about very briefly about my first love, a thing that I never thought I would talk about in a pulpit at a church. We met in physics class. That's right. But, we were both weirdos and dedicated weirdos. And at the time, I think that we didn't understand the friendship that we built and later the dating relationship that we had for a few years as a queer one at first, right? That wasn't what it was on its surface. I was out as a queer person, but later we both came out as trans in a couple of different directions and had some really sweet conversations, kind of excavating the ways that we had built these queer worlds and possibilities with each other even when everything around us felt like a pressure cooker of expectations, normativity, and things that were pushing us in one direction. How we'd been able to kind of crack that open with each other and make these little pockets in time and space to explore these edges of ourselves, to get a little bit fuller in our bodies and our existences and figure out what we wanted to be in the world beyond what was set out for us. And I'm so grateful to this day to have been loved so fully by so many beautiful queer people who want expansive possibilities. I think that we get to make those worlds for and with each other in ways that are truly beautiful. And I think over the last stretch of time, we've really had a lot of folks want to get in on that, want to support it, want to be a part of that ethos, want to join in the pride, join in the relationships, join in the community. Even now, when we have enormous political pressure towards erasure, towards alternative versions of history, towards alternative versions of the present, we have so many people who want to stand with us. And what I've seen recently in some friendships is spaces where folks really want to stand in love and in community with queer and trans people around them, but are feeling timid to say it with their chest, are feeling timid to stand 10 tones down on relationships and on things that they value and what they really, what they hold true and dear and near to each other. And so I want to think about friendship as the place that I have learned to practice my politics. I really appreciate, Dietz, you talking about punk as a place where that is, and I think that that's true in so many spaces. I think about friendship as a DIY space, right? Where, like so many of our relationships, we have expectations of what it means to be a daughter or a son, what it means to be a coworker, what it means to be a teacher or a parent or any type of relationship. There's a higher structure to it, right? Or a spouse or a romantic partner. Friendship, we have so many expansive possibilities for, right? You can call somebody your friend and mean 1,000,005 different things. You can relate to your friends differently over time, and you can watch your friends grow frequently in ways that we don't always give space to the people that we hold closest, right? If your spouse changes after 20 years of being together, it can be surprising. But if your friend changes over 20 years, we frequently give them that space, and we look at them with awe, and we say, I can't believe I get to watch you grow. And so I think what I'm hoping in this moment is that we can all use our friendships as spaces for learning labs, to practice our politics, to practice the world as we want it to be, and to start kind of living those things out in different ways. I also think it's one of those moments where, like, friendships are the spaces where we open ourselves up frequently, to be vulnerable, to be open to change, to love, to feedback, and to healing the things that we've been given. And so it's a real honor when we get to be in friendship and community with other people across those lines of difference, and also that we get to world build with each other. I see this congregation as a space that I've gotten to be a visitor in so many different times, and I hope to continue to grow in friendships and love with all of you, but also my call to action for y'all today is to figure out in your friendships where you can get weirder, where you can get more honest, where you can get more accountable or curious or excited about the people around you and the way that those friendships can live in the world. Because there is so much joy and beauty within queer friendships, places where we release expectations and allow each other autonomy, and we honor our values, and we question the systems around us, and we make sure that everyone's needs are met. But we need to live those friendships out in the world all the time, and that means that y'all need to join us. Every person that you know and love, figuring out ways that we can, like, actually live those politics in the world, and truly approach them from a place of creativity and bring that DIY ethos into our interpersonal relationships as well. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. I'm so happy to be in front of you again. I am so thankful to my co-leaders, my co-talkers, because you have heard a lot of truths today, but you have also been radically invited into a journey of understanding and of that phrase, showing up full-chested, is really resonating with me. And what I have for you today is perhaps less of a testimony and more of a manifesto. So here we go. When we talk about queer and trans liberation, we are not speaking about a theory tucked away in some distant, idealized future. We are talking about something real, something we build together brick by brick, moment by moment, every single day. It is easy to think of liberation as something abstract, something only possible after the revolution, after the laws change, after the system crumbles. But for many of us, liberation has already begun, not in sweeping headlines or grand gestures, but in quiet daily acts of care and courage that keep us alive. Liberation looks like the neighbor who brings you soup when you're too tired to cook. It looks like the crew that shows up with a U-Haul when somebody needs to get out of a bad situation. It looks like late-night check-ins, shared hormones, and group chats that become lifelines. It looks like fighting back against legislation meant to disappear us and still finding space to dance and to dream. It looks like showing up at a protest not just with signs and slogans, but with jail support, with water and snacks, with phone trees and burner phones. It looks like being prepared to use your body for de-arrests, being willing to risk safety for each other's freedom. It looks like holding the line when cops push in. It looks like love, messy, imperfect, unstoppable love. Because in a world where ICE is unabashedly kidnapping human beings, where our people are being surveilled, evicted, banned, and buried, we need to say it plainly. Action is not frivolous. Mutual care is not optional. Radical action is survival. And in this climate of overwhelm and grief, it is a political act to feel deeply, to stay soft, in a time that invites us to numb ourselves, to shrink away, to disconnect from the absolute and violent reality lived by so many. Because we are not meant to simply endure and call it self-care. We are meant to feel, to love, to rage, to rest, and to organize. Choosing to stay emotionally present, to stay human in the face of dehumanization is part of our resistance. And that resistance calls us to shed the binds of politeness and perfectionism, to stop waiting until we are articulate enough, calm enough, professional enough, ready enough. We do not need to be palatable to be powerful. Now is the time for unfiltered love and unabashed rage. Now is the time to risk being too loud and too messy and too much for each other. Liberation is collective, or it is not liberation at all. I envision a world where our people don't just survive, but thrive, where transition is honored as sacred, where queer joy isn't something we have to earn after pain. It is our birthright. I imagine a world where no one is afraid to show up as they are, where care is not conditional, and I believe that that world is possible because I've seen glimpses of it. But glimpses are not enough, and I can't settle for crumbs when our need for liberation is so urgent. So I'll leave you with this. Community power is not abstract. It is a practice. It is how we show up again and again and again and again and again and again for one another. It is how we build a world where we can live unbound by the chains of white supremacy. It is how we shed the scripts of silence and respectability, throw off fear and decorum, and take to the streets when we must. It is naming grief and still making space for joy. It is how we build a world where dignity is not a privilege, but a given right. Thank you.
Woo. Thank you, my friends. Wow. Can we get some love for our first speaker, Dietz, our punk in the pulpit? Yes. Can we get some love for SK, our dear friend in physics class? Practicing the world they want to see. And some love for Gabe, messy, imperfect, unstoppable love. Yes. Y'all see why I asked them to come, huh? All right, y'all. Generosity is a spiritual discipline. We can now practice our act of giving either by placing your offering in the collection plate or by using the information in your order of service to give electronically. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Dwayne. Gifts to this community of faith are gratefully received. Let us acknowledge these gifts by reading together the words in your order of service. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. Giving in the offering plate and pledging are a part of how we steward this congregation. There are countless other ways to serve, build community, and share our love with the rest of the city. Here are a few opportunities coming up. Also, I didn't hear if there was a spotlight announcement. If anyone has something that needs to be said, raise your hand, let me know. But our first couple are that today there is a religious exploration picnic in the park for families that's happening from 12:30 to 2:30 at the Walnut Street Playground in Audubon Park. All RE families and volunteers are welcome. Please bring picnic treats if you can or want to. Another piece, there's a meal train for Jafia. She's recovering from surgery. Please check out the digest to sign up. And if you're not on the digest, I can text you the link. So come find me. And lastly, there's going to be a farewell party for Katie, who is leaving after 10 years of service as our Director of Religious Exploration and 13 on the worship arts team. Yeah, time is wild. That sweet party is next Saturday, June 28th, from 6 to 9 in Epiphany House, which is the little building right over there. And then, Amy, did you have a spotlight announcement? And if you do, you got to come up to the mic so everybody can hear you. I'm sorry to make you run. Oh, you take your time, love. Thank you.
So you may have seen in the digest, and I just want to tell you to, no, I will not tell you, ask you to save the date for July 8th. It's a Tuesday at 6:30 in the evening here in the chapel. Joe and Joy Banner from the Descendants Project will be here, and they will be showing Vacation Plantation, which is a very powerful movie about the real story of plantations. And then they'll be available afterwards to answer questions. So here, July 8th, 6:30 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful film. Okay. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in our chalice extinguishing, which is in your order of worship. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. And join us in our closing hymn. It's in your teal hymnals, number 1017, Building a New Way. Feel free to be seated. Thank you so much, y'all. I'm just going to close us out with one reminder from this responsive reading by Audre Lorde. The last line, "At last you'll know with surpassing certainty that only one thing is more frightening than speaking your truth, and that is not speaking." Thanks, y'all. Please turn and greet your neighbor. There's going to be coffee in the back through those doors. Thanks for coming today.